Come with me on a mission to outer space. Our destination is the planet Mars. We have to travel over 300 million miles. That may seem like a long trip, but we'll be speeding through space at 13,000 miles an hour. A rocket carrying the InSight mission launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California on May 5th. After it lands, the robotic suite of instruments will peek below the planet's surface, investigating the different layers that make up Mars. You may already know that Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. Earth is the third planet from the Sun, so Mars is a little farther out than we are. On a clear night, when you can see the stars, you may have noticed one that looked a little reddish. Sunlight bouncing off the Martian red rocks makes it look just like another star. But Mars is a world, a harsh, desert, alien world. Over the years, NASA has sent many spacecraft to Mars, but it's still a mysterious place in many ways and one that we've only just begun to explore. But Mars does not welcome visitors with open arms. Many spacecraft have died trying to get there. So far, there have been 43 robotic missions sent to Mars, many from the US, but Europe and Russia and even India and China have tried to go there. The current record for Mars missions is 18 successes and 25 failures. Granted, some of those failures can't be blamed on Mars. Some missions, especially early on, came to an abrupt end due to rockets blowing up on the launch pad or not getting very far past Earth. But still, less than half of the missions ever sent to Mars have made it. The InSight mission hopes to improve the odds. Soon after InSight launched from Earth, on Mars, one of the biggest dust storms in history swirled into life.
Dust storms tend to pop up on Mars on a pretty regular basis. In fact, there's a dust storm season on Mars. In some seasons, there's small dust storms. In some seasons, there are huge dust storms, and we actually just got hit with one of the big ones.
That's Bruce Bannert, the scientist leading the InSight mission. He and the InSight team were first alerted to the storm from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, a satellite circling Mars. A rover on the ground named Opportunity sent photos back to Earth of the Martian sky growing dusty and dark until the sun disappeared in the sky. The storm grew until it covered most of Mars. We don't have weather like this on Earth. Our storms are located in one place, and then they drift to another area or disperse entirely. We've never, for instance, had a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean grow and grow until it becomes a single storm, enveloping most of the planet. But this is not the first time we've seen such a large storm on Mars. When NASA's Mariner 9 orbiter reached Mars in 1971, it saw a global dust storm that was so immense, only the tops of the tallest volcanoes could be seen peeking above the haze. The Mars Global Surveyor satellite witnessed a similar massive storm in 2001. Those orbiters saw the storms from high above. The Viking 1 lander in 1977 was the first time we got to see such a big dust storm from the ground. Because Viking was actually in the storm, it also could gauge the force of the winds, which topped 60 miles per hour.
Mars dust is extremely fine, and it's very easy to lift up in the atmosphere. And without any moisture to have the dust particles clump together, it takes a long time for it to settle out. So these dust storms tend to kick up really fast and then die off really slowly. And even after the wind's all gone, you still have a lot of dust up there, which is absorbing the sun and making it kind of dark down on the surface.
InSight has to enter the atmosphere of Mars, descend down through it, and land on the planet's surface. This is known as EDL, entry, descent, and landing. On Mars, the atmosphere is thick enough to burn you up on entry, but thin enough to make landing with a parachute extremely tricky. This is why Mars landings often include rockets firing toward the ground, so-called retro rockets that help slow down the descent. The InSight mission is prepared to go through entry, descent, and landing for a range of conditions, including a dust storm.
Those little dust particles, when you're coming in at 15,000 miles per hour, they do act as a little bit of a sandblaster. And when we designed their spacecraft, we knew that we were coming in during dust season. So we actually added about a half an inch of extra material on the heat shield, the ablative material that actually burns off as you go into the atmosphere.
It can take months for dust from such a big storm to slowly settle out of the air. If there's a lot of dust in the air when InSight lands, The biggest problem for the lander will be power generation. InSight runs on solar power. Falling dust not only blocks the sunlight, it also could coat the solar panels, causing InSight to run out of energy. Opportunity rover, who got caught in the dust storm, is also solar-powered. It went into hibernation soon after the dust storm appeared in order to save power. The power does more than run the rover. It keeps it warm on frigid Martian nights. Temperatures in Opportunity's neighborhood, the Martian equator, can dip down to negative 130 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 90 Celsius. Without a heater, the rover could freeze to death. It's similar to running a car in the winter so the cold doesn't sap the battery charge. The Martian cold may have been what ultimately killed Opportunity's twin rover, Spirit, back in 2010.